Hello and welcome to Inside ML. I'm Andy Downton, Head of Media for ML, and today we're talking about getting healthcare organisations ready for Care Quality Commission inspections. Joining me are Samantha Singh, Clinical Lead for the Nursing and Emergency Care team at ML, Faye Gailey, Registered Manager for Portway House Care Home, and Rachael Berks, Clinical Lead for the Nursing and Emergency Care team at ML. Samantha, what was the issue?
Coming from acute trust, one of the things we were looking at is how we could support staff and managers at care homes or any healthcare facility really to get themselves ready for the CQC inspection. And the core for us was it's not just getting ready for the inspection, but it's actually being able to install the 5
key lines
of inquiry into everyday activities of the staff. And I think that's where it started for us.
Faye, is this something which, for care homes, that you worry about?
Yes, every day. I mean, a registered manager's job is to ensure that the home meets all the CQC regulations, but it's not just about meeting their kind of expectations, but taking your team along with that. And I think CQC inspections and regulations are just an absolute minefield sometimes, and I think breaking it down for every team member within your home to understand that and actually take it down to the bare basics of what is being looked for, and actually they've got that knowledge, and it's about bringing that out for the inspections, and it's absolute gold dust in terms of confidence building for your team, and that's definitely what we gain from it anyway.
Let's go back to the start of this programme then, Rachel. What was we've heard about sort of the need and the issue. How did we come together as ML to start to find a solution?
So I think it was about 18 months ago we started to think about what we could do to really add value to organisations to prepare them for the CQC inspections. And that was around the time that CQC were changing the way that they reviewed healthcare facilities. So that was a really key time, and we decided to develop an offer to support initially smaller organisations. We know in hospitals that they have big kind of governance departments and lots of kind of corporate back office teams that can support with these kind of functions. They do cross directorate mock inspections, but in a smaller home that are independent, they really do require that support. And I think for us, we developed an offer initially around 8 components. So won't go through all in major detail, but high level we were kind of looking at doing mock inspections for homes, providing training where there were gaps, looking at policies and procedures, which is obviously something that CQC would be very interested in, action planning with the home, so quite a few different elements, some work around leadership and culture in a home, but mainly sort of focusing on those 5 key areas, those 5 key lines of inquiry, to support homes and managers like Faye and other kind of care facility managers to support their staff really, and just to give them that additional bit of support in preparation for CQC inspection.
And so the work with Portway House, how did that start? Was it a sort of knock on the door and approach from ML, or how did it start?
We obviously wanted to test the process, so we did collaborate with one of the ICBs, and that was Black Country ICB, and we met with quite a few care home managers across the city to see, just to gauge interest, and we had quite a phenomenal amount of interest. So we went through a process where we shortlisted who we were going to first offer that level of support to. We did look at areas where we could gain the most value, so we looked at areas where they were requiring improvement on their last CQC inspection. And from that we had a meeting with the care home managers, and we chose Portway House to deliver the project to, because we felt that there was so much opportunity in that particular home based on their last CQC inspection outcomes, and also the engagement of the management team. and the culture that was already there within the home to really kind of absorb that support.
So to have that initial, was it like a thank you very much, please come in, and we're going to grab it with both hands?
Yeah, 100%. I think following on from what Rachel has said from our previous CQC inspection, and I know my team would 100% back me up on this, that their fear of CQC coming back and their confidence had just plummeted because they had worked so hard for that CQC inspection, and to get an RI was completely demoralising, and for issues really that didn't warrant an RI, if I'm quite honest.
That requires improvement.
Indeed, sorry. And then to have this opportunity for the CQC Readiness programme to come into Portway House was just something that we definitely wanted to grab a hold of, and the opportunities that came from it were absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, it was very, very exciting, and I think it's nice that we were chosen because of the engagement that was there when they initially came, because what you see is what you get when you come to Portway House, and it's nice to hear that's something that people want to work with. So we were very, very grateful and very excited for the opportunity.
So Samantha, can you describe some of that work that went on?
Yeah, absolutely. Initially, I'd say whether it was Portway House or anywhere that we go, one of the things we found is that staff are doing such fantastic work already, but it's actually getting that evidence and how do they actually share what they're doing. Not many of us like to talk positively about ourselves or the good things that we do. We're always looking towards negative. And so when we went to Portway House, that was one of the first things we worked on with the staff, is to engage them to be able to share all the positives that they were doing, all the good actions that they were taking. And it's also just understanding language, because sometimes when the CQC inspectors come in, they speak in a language that the staff on the floor just do not understand. You know, if they ask them, what's your quality assurance, staff just freeze. So it was us taking that word and making it useful to them and meaningful to them on the floor. And so we had some engagement with them. So that was the start of how we actually started our training, is by recognizing what their need was and then sharing our knowledge with them.
As a manager, you loved it. How did
Yes.
staff take to it?
Very, very, very much so. So I made it very apparent that I wasn't going to be taking part in the training sessions, because for me it was their opportunity, their platform to be able to speak freely, ask the questions, and they gained so much from it. And I think it was nice that they realised that each other knew quite a lot, and they just hadn't realised that within a team basis. So it was a winner-winner for me, because they were gaining so much knowledge from the programme, but actually appreciating each other as staff members, which built the relationships up even more within the home, which as a registered manager it's very difficult to do anyway. But I'm one of the very lucky ones, as I say. It was just the change in them and the pride in their work really came out, and it was just a privilege to watch and see them all grow and continue to do so to this day, because they know that what they're doing is making a difference. And to have the confidence to turn around, like Sam said, and say, I don't really understand what you're saying, actually can you rephrase that into something that I'm going to understand? And it's about having that confidence to do that.
It's one of those where in some circumstances you don't want to admit that
No,
you
absolutely.
don't know what that term is.
Yes, and I do it all the time in front of my team. I'm not going to turn around and say, just because I wear this badge, I'm going to know absolutely every single question that's asked of me. Absolutely not. I'm just like, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? And I think when it comes from the top down, in terms of, I don't understand what you mean, please help me, they're going to have less fear of doing that also. And it's just about, obviously, taking that culture from what they learnt from the programme. So one of the things that the staff really benefited from was the mock inspection that was conducted as part of the programme. And it was very much a case of speaking to staff, asking the questions that CQC were most likely going to be asking. And then the thing that I really found beneficial at the end of it was the things that I needed to address. As the registered manager, looking at my quality assurances, making sure that we had the triangulation, but very much from our past inspection as well. So even though obviously when we have an inspection, we have an action plan, which as a home we do tend to work on straight away, it was actually endorsing and embedding those changes and making sure that it was continued with the confidence building from the CQC Readiness programme, from the mock inspection, and it just kind of snowballed into a supportive network from every angle and every aspect. And I think to gain that as a care provider from a small business is second to none. And it was an opportunity that I wasn't willing to not grab at both hands.
Yeah, because we do media training, obviously, and we did some very high-profile media training recently. And we took them back to square one with the whole point of, you're going to have loads of cameras there.
Yeah.
So let's actually practice it from the time you walk out your office and you're going to walk and present it.
Yeah.
And the whole point of that was, so you don't have to worry about reading that statement on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Because that bit you know.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you know the questions you're going to ask, but actually having it in that environment, I suppose that's probably invaluable, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's teaching the staff that even though on the day is a fight or flight, your body goes into fight or flight. Anybody that denies anything, that they're lying. It is a fight or flight, and it's about saying from what they learnt from the programme and having that confidence and knowing what they know. Actually, now, Mr. CQC man, my name's Faye, and this is what I know, and this is what we do at Portway House, and they've definitely gained that, definitely.
And one of the things is it was actually a surprise visit, so it was at the end of the programme, and once it was done, so they didn't know we were coming, we just turned up on a day and did it like the CQC would do.
So you just went, knocked on the door and said, we're here to do a mock inspection?
They knew about it, but
Yeah.
none of the other staff knew we were coming, and it was really brilliant to see how much of what we had trained them or taught them they had actually retained. So it was really brilliant to see.
Yeah. And you didn't want them to know, Faye,
No,
did you?
I kept my mouth very much shut, which is quite difficult for me.
We started at requires improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Have we had the next inspection yet?
Nope. I'm waiting impatiently.
We're confident.
More than
Yes,
confident,
yes.
That was what I was going to say, but you know it's coming. So
Yes.
how do you...
We're ready. I've actually emailed CQC and said, can you please come and inspect my service? And they've asked for evidence, so I'm trying to utilise the portal to show evidence of what good we do at Portway House, and the CQC Readiness programme is very much one part of it.
I'm sure it's probably an obvious question. Why is it so important to move up those ratings?
For the service that we provide for our residents. You know, they come in to live in the building that we work in. It's their home, and they deserve to live in a good, outstanding home. And I think no one would be happy with an RI, a requires improvement. You want to provide the best and showcase that you do provide the best for the home that you work in, but their home where they live, 100%.
Rachel, what's our team learned through the process?
I think we learned how much value we could really add. I think initially we thought we could, you know, provide some training around kind of certain elements of those key lines of inquiry, but I think that confidence building was such a key that we learnt. I think the other thing as well that many organisations do is they prepare for a CQC inspection, and it's almost like a false kind of service at the time of the visit. And actually one of the things that we really try to get over to staff is this has got to be sustainable. So whatever it is you're doing, this should be done every single day of every single week for your residents, not just because a CQC inspector's coming in. And I think the feedback we had from staff was really good. We collected feedback at the end, and we really felt like we'd provided something that not only would help support improve that CQC inspection, but every single day would help support staff to feel confident to deliver that excellent quality care, which I believe that they were doing anyway. But I think we boosted that. Definitely.
Absolutely. I think the other thing potentially that we learned was that we have these offers that we can do, you know, we've set it out, but when we get to the home and actually individualize it to their what they need. That can change, so we can adapt to what they require. And I think that we found was really helpful, because the staff helped us on our initial visit to figure out what they needed. And going away, I think that's the first thing we'll do, is go into any organisation when we're helping them and individualise that package to their needs.
And that was going to be my next question, is what are the next steps?
So the next steps is that we obviously would love to take this to as many organisations in the NHS that need support. And the reason for us wanting to do that is, as Faye said, to provide that every patient within the NHS gets that care every day. And to also alleviate that stress that staff feel when they hear the word CQC. When we go in and we share as I said, the terminology with them and make it as simple, it alleviates that stress and that anxiety, and then they can do what they do every day when the CQC come and observe them. So I think that's what my next steps would like to be. Yours?
Yeah, I mean, we're currently in talks with other homes about this, sort of implementing this potential offer, and like Sam said, you know, what one particular home wants is going to be very different to what another, and we would tailor those needs to that specific home. We're also working with our pharmacy team, so they provide an offer around review of kind of medication safety in the home, that kind of thing, and that's a key thing that CQC would look at. So they do some visits as well, so potentially collaborating with other areas within ML to provide sort of a much broader offer. So that's another opportunity for us. But yeah, I think we're just hopeful that we can deliver this, you know, to more
The other team that
organisations.
we're working with at the moment is the improvement team, and they do quite a lot of the QI. So initially when we started this, we had, as we said, the 8 offers, and as we grew and as we shared it within ML, we've had other teams that can come in with some expert support and ideas to help us deliver the best really for these organisations.
And Faye, Rachel said that ML are talking to other care homes now. What would your message be to those other managers?
I think it would be, if you have the opportunity, don't second guess it, because as care homes, we are the most audited, visited industry ever. We have council, we have improvement people come in, local authority, everybody, and it's all, we're coming to audit this is what you're doing wrong, we're coming to do this, so we're here to help you, here's your action plan, and it's great, and it's lovely, and we do feel the help, but actually the approach that the CQC Readiness takes, my team did not feel at once that somebody was coming in telling them what they were doing wrong. And that's what it kind of feels like, intentionally or non-intentionally, but that's what it feels like for a care home team. I can speak for Portway, obviously, I'm just surmising that other care homes feel this way, but their approach and actually telling them what they were doing was good, was a completely different approach they'd never had before. And as a registered manager, I did not have the pressure of, oh my gosh, I've got this action plan to do, because if I don't meet that criteria, they're going to liaise with CQC, and oh my goodness me, completely different. And it was almost like, for once, they'd got your support as a registered manager to help lead your team to where they should be and what they are. I wouldn't give it a second thought. Take it on it, and it's great. It really is.
So Samantha, Faye, Rachel, thank you very much for your time. To find out more about ML, head over to the website. The link is in the description.